Hi everyone, this is Crystal Lee, aka the Clinician Coach. So based on the poll in the Facebook group, everyone wants me to talk about how to create a very solid, stellar marketing plan. So before we even get into that, there's a little pre-plan work that you need to do. There's actually 4 things that you need to have figured out before you actually jump in and start working on your plan. So the first thing is figuring out who is the audience of your marketing. So I work primarily with emerging adults, so 18 to 29-year-olds that are stuck in their transition towards adulthood. So some may assume like, oh, okay, so Crystal's audience is the emerging adults themselves. And actually, my audience are the parents of the emerging adults, not the emerging adults themselves, because it's the parents, at least in my case, the parents are paying for the service and are usually the ones that are feeling more of the pain point and reaching out for help, but help for their kids. So if you look on my website, I have a section specifically for parents and a section for the emerging adults. But if you look at my blog, a lot of my content is aimed towards parents of emerging adults. And even if you look at my Facebook, I have a Facebook page that is completely dedicated to concerns related to parents of teens and emerging adults. So that's my audience. So you need to figure out who your audience is for this marketing. The second thing you want to think about is your unique value proposition. And I won't talk about this too much because I have a whole other video just on UVP, but you need to figure out like what exactly makes you unique, because that is going to be part of your marketing strategy, right? You're going to talk to people about why would I want to see you versus other therapists? What about you would compel me to see you instead of someone else? And then the third thing you want to think about is your message and your branding. So if you think about your audience and your UVP, that's going to determine what your messaging is going to be, and some of your branding also. And you want to figure out your branding ahead of time because you want it to be consistent. You don't want your marketing and your marketing materials and your strategy to be completely antithetical to your website, because it'll give people like cognitive whiplash and really just confuse people. So you want to make sure you're consistent across the board. So thinking about your messaging, your messaging or my messaging would be different if I was, targeting emerging adults versus parents of emerging adults. Or if you're, really targeting, say, referral sources, your messaging would be different for certain referral sources versus others. So really your audience and your UVP are going to determine your message, your messaging, and then you want all of that to be consistent with your branding. And I could do a whole other training on branding, so if you want me to do that, drop me a comment, and if there's enough demand, I'll do that for you guys. So just making sure all of that's consistent across the board. And then the fourth thing you want to think about, fourth and last thing, is really just logistics. So your budget, like how much money do you have to spend? Because you need to know that ahead of time. And it's actually easier to think about that before you start looking at marketing strategies, because you might be really tempted to stretch your budget a little thin or overstep your budget or go above your budget if you're doing it in the moment. But if you think ahead of time, like, okay, I only have $500 to spend, what is the wisest way for me to spend this, versus like, oh, I just saw this awesome Google Ads person who'll do it all for me for $1,000. I guess I can swing $1,000, but no, don't do that. You're doubling your budget. Set your budget ahead of time, and that will determine what your marketing strategy is going to be and what your plan is going to consist of. So remember, those 4 things really need to have, you need to decide those 4 things ahead of time before you really start working on your marketing plan. Have any questions, comments, drop them below, and thanks for watching.